Okay, so hello London, my name is John and I work at Dunnhumby. Can I get a quick show of hands who has heard of Dunnhumby? Okay, cool. Excellent. I'm going to talk a little bit about Tesco in this presentation, and so as Valentina said, one of their challenges previously was should they own or rent a store, whereas now the focus is on their data that they have access to. So should they collect it themselves? Should they partner up with people, or should they actually go out and acquire it? So for the few of you in the audience that haven't heard of Dunnhumby, this is our customer model. So the customer is at the centre of absolutely everything that Dunnhumby does. What we do is we build out data insights, so we collect data, typically transactional data, but online data, research, media data, overlay it all together and build out data insights. From this, we what we call personalise the experience. So this could be in the form of pricing, it could be ranging, it could be a one-to-one comms to the customer. This is really about the retailer showing loyalty back to the customer. The next slide is a bit more intrinsic. It's all around transforming the organisation. So really embedding this principle of like a customer loyal approach all the way up to the board, all the way through to the people that face into the customers every single day. And then what does this all mean? You know, one more product, one more basket, one more time, or simply put measurable value. So market share, sales share, profit margins, whatever. Now lots of people have given you numbers and things like that, and Dunnhumby are going to be absolutely different. This is our current footprint at the moment, quite a global reach. The stuff in Sage, which is a corporate colour, should get that out there, is Sociomantic Labs. That's where Dunnhumby have bought a programmatic display company, so that deal with a lot of the adverts that appear on the internet. Dunnhumby themselves got a presence in over 29 different markets. We think we reach around 800 million customers, and on the retail side, we'll deal with around 1 billion transactions a week. A little bit about a quick history of the company. Founded by Clive and Edwina in a bedroom back in 1989. Dunnhumby was their baby. They did also have babies as well along the way. But by 1995, Tesco became a client. So very important point there, Tesco became a client of Dunnhumby. And then along the way, up until 2010, Tesco took full ownership of the business and Clive and Edwina stepped away. And then since then, we've also acquired ourselves. We've acquired Sociomantic, as we mentioned, and BuzzAgent, which is a brand advocacy platform. And then the amount of data that we get from all of these guys, it's just growing and growing and growing. So Dunnhumby have access to a lot of data. So here's James. This is what shopping used to be like back in the 90s, if you remember it. He'd maybe write down something on a list, or maybe his wife has written it down for him on a list. He then goes, maybe he drives to the store, buys something, it's on his credit card, and then he goes and tells his friends about it in the pub. Today, that's no different, but all of that information is now being captured by what he's doing. I was interested to hear about what the Telefonica guys were saying, because I heard an advert just the other day for in-car Wi-Fi, so now we know that you're driving as well. Really useful information. Everything that's happening now is being captured in real time, and I heard a quote the other day, that actually now the people that are coming into the world, their entire lives are now being recorded from birth to death, which actually does make you think quite a lot long and hard about what this digital age really does mean for us. Nothing is sacred, it would seem. So the model now is much different. We've got this kind of discover, shop, buy and reflect kind of concept. Now our job as data scientists or as retailers is to really try and help our customers navigate their way through this web and provide them with an absolutely seamless experience. Otherwise, it's just going to be absolutely chaotic for them. And we can take this data that this produces and really kind of intercept the journey that they're doing and really provide this better experience for them. So if we dive into it quickly, think about the last thing that you bought. How did you actually see it? Was it an advert on the very website that maybe drove you to buying that product? Or was it some kind of review that you started reading on a different website and you got almost stuck in that infinite loop of reading a review, reading another review, reading the bad review, and then going back again and just bouncing around the model? When you shopped it, Yeah, maybe you went back to that store, but now was your in-store location being tracked, and we'll touch upon that again later on. Or maybe you were in that store and you were on your phone and you were checking all the promotions that were happening, the competitor prices. Perhaps you're using that store almost as Amazon and Shop Direct's like marketplace. Actually, what are these products that these guys have? I want to look and feel of it, and then I'm just going to go and buy it somewhere else. And then when you bought it, was it on an e-wallet? Perhaps it was an Apple Pay. Think about the amount of data that Apple Pay would have rather than just the traditional retailer. Really, really key focus now is the e-wallet. Or even outside of that, being able to link transactions together. You don't just have to have the loyalty card. You know, I imagine a lot of retailers these days that don't have them are just using other things as a customer proxy. So it could be, you know, things like a credit card as well. And then what did you do after it? How did you reflect on this purchase that you made? Did you go back and write a review because you're an avid reader of reviews? And perhaps you don't even have the data just yet, the product just yet, because it's on a click and collect service. And again, more data being driven out by that. And a big thanks to Chandan there for really describing a lot of the clickstream data that is available. We've talked a lot about that already. Some of the really cool stuff that you can get with that is actually obviously what your customers are doing online, but where have they actually come from? How did they land there? And where did they go after that? And not just every single click, but even the fact that a customer has rolled their mouse over a picture, that picture then gets bigger. Again, more and more stuff is being collected. The key challenge again though, for everyone, is the relevancy of all of this data. If you take this to like the bigger scale, outside of just a single domain, what's more relevant, the fact that I've searched for a dress or the fact that I've just uploaded a picture of a cat? You know, kind of where is the relevancy in that? And all of this then does just build up to what you can understand more about your customers, what really, you know, what information can you decide about them? All of this data is driving that. What are the key loyalty drivers that kind of motivate your customers? And so on this, what if you don't actually have that much data? So that's giving you an idea of what we want with it. What if you don't actually have enough of it? And there is, and I must say, can't stress more than enough, there must be a business strategy to the reason why you'd want more data. You know, you get the analogies, it's like oil, it's like gold. You know, the oil can be in the ground, it can be outside of the ground, it could be refined, but you need to get hold of it and you need to use it in the correct way. It doesn't matter. The amount of companies that come to us and say, hey, we've got loads and loads of data, and we're like, yeah, great, well done, but it's actually being able to use it properly and in the right way. So imagine you are Dave Lewis, hopefully you've all heard of him, and you're the CEO of Tesco, and part of your business strategy is to understand more and more about what your customers motivates them and influences them. You can go about by collecting data and build out your own proprietary capability to do so. You can go and find a partner and they can actually help you out, give you some data, or you could go out and actually get the checkbook and go and buy somebody. But before you even get there, there's some quite important things that you need to take into account. The kind of the acceptability versus the possibility of the data that you have. So in the startups box, hopefully there's a few of you guys here, this is where there's real money to be made. This could be taking data from, I don't know, sentiment data from YouTube and using that in the right way to target your customers. Commoditization, a lot of what we're doing already, taking data, taking their transactions and using that in the right ways. And then it starts getting a bit murky below the line. So legislation. Hopefully you guys remember the story with Nordstrom in the US. They openly admitted that they were tracking their customers as they walked around the stores. This got out, public opinion was very, very negative about it. So anything that you do with your data, you really need to take this into account. And then finally, in sort of the realms of academia, it's not possible and it's not even acceptable yet. I think it's a scientific fact that body temperature increases as you're about to buy something. So if you can measure this as your customers come into your store, you might realise they've got high propensities to buy or not. This kind of information out there, if you used it, wouldn't be acceptable today. So please make sure anything that you're thinking of doing is absolutely acceptable and possible. So back to Tesco. Where have Tesco collected data? Dunnhumby have been working with Tesco's transactional data over the last 20 years, using the targeting information. The whole key point here is that Tesco own the channel. They own the relationship with their customers. They could send a letter to every single one of their customers saying, go away, shop in Waitrose, it's much nicer. They're not going to do that. But the fact that they own the channel means they could. With the channels here, they've got the huddle. The guys are aware of that. So that's pushing out into the tablet market. It's already loaded with all of the Tesco apps. The data that's then being driven by the apps is something that Tesco will own and collect. And then finally, who's heard of Orchard? Anyone? Okay, maybe one person. Excellent. So Orchard is an online social community that Tesco have. I guess it's a bit similar to Facebook, where customers can own, can share recipe ideas, understand their motivations. You can understand what their opinions are about how they feel about Tesco, maybe about their competitors. And here's an example. It wouldn't be Big Data Week without dropping a shameless hashtag. So this was my Tesco sandwich from back in May. And the idea was that customers can just vote, quite simple, vote for their favourite type of sandwich. I didn't interrogate the data myself, but I imagine a lot of students took part, judging by the fact that a fish finger sandwich made it into the finalists. And so we had the winner there, and this was a great piece of, great campaign for Tesco. The actual winning sandwich, performed really well in that category. But then Tesco also managed to collect a lot more information about what motivates and influences their customers. Some of the benefits, the pros and the cons of doing it. We mentioned about owning that whole relationship. And I know we've talked a bit about open data as well, but if you've got that data, why not turn it into a revenue stream as well? Go out and commercialise it. The data could appreciate over time and evolve. And I've got security on here. Now, I know that's lots of questions have already been asked about it. I've included security under the kind of the collection of data is because you can really take responsibility for the security of that data. It's not going to be sitting in anybody else's hands. The challenge is obviously this data is going to take time to grow, and you're going to have to invest massively. And back to the point about a retailer already, or a business, having lots and lots of data, you then need to have the people and the tech to actually make use of it. And something that Dunnhumby do a lot is actually around the organisation of the data as well. So if you're going to be able to want to get a better relationship with your customers, it doesn't really help that your data is really focused on operational things to get products in stores. So where have Tesco gone out and found a partner? So you'd find a partner because you really can't access this data on your own. You just can't do it. Current capability won't deliver it. We've had a lot of great stuff about what customer data is out there and how you can understand more about the customers. For me, one of the really super important things is actually what on earth are your customers buying? So Brand Bank is a company that Tesco work with, and they actually provide hundreds and hundreds of different attributes about product data. It's super, super rich. Normally a retailer, the data that they have on their products is atrocious. So this is why they bring in Brand Bank. Adobe Omniture, they don't actually manage, Tesco can't manage their clickstream data on their own, the data that comes through, so they have to use Adobe instead. It's just the way things go. Got a partnership with Sky IQ. That's not Tesco, that's through Dunnhumby. This is understanding the links between what you're viewing on television to what you're purchasing in stores, so it can be very powerful at a segment level. And then others, quite a nice one, is around iBeacon technology, partnered with Unilever to deliver some iBeacons in some Tesco Express stores, understand when a customer's near, and then offer them a Magnum. So again, they've got lots and lots of partners out there. The benefits, the main thing is getting access to data that you'd never be able to get, right? And it's going to be much, much faster. And the only other one I'll call out on there is that hopefully the data has been cleansed. There's been lots and lots of talk about data, but we haven't really mentioned about the quality of it. If a partner's giving you some data as a service, I would expect that data to be fairly good. And the biggest challenge with it all, if you're like the finance director or whoever, but that margin dilution, it's just going to be hitting you every single month. You're going to be paying for it every single time. And if you've got multiple partners all over the place, giving you lots of different sources of data, it's just going to drive massive inefficiencies, interdependencies on lots and lots of businesses. So whilst it does bring you lots of really good data in, it might not be the best thing for you. And finally, you can acquire a company. So Dave's got his checkbook, and they've acquired PayQuick. I don't know if anyone's seen these in some of the trial London stores, but you can actually pay now using an app. I guess it's similar to Apple Pay, but it's only available at the moment within the store, so it enables a faster checkout process. I don't know what the plans are for PayQuick, but if Tesco are able to roll that out beyond beyond Tesco stores, being able to understand more about what your customers are doing outside of their stores, I'm sure is a key focus for lots and lots of retailers. And then we've got We7 and Blinkbox, so video and music streaming services. Again, the data that comes from that, understanding more what the customers are seeing and listening to. But if you're going to acquire, there's a few things that you really do need to take into account. So we've already know a bit about the value, how important is this data to your business, to the strategy. But for me, we talk about the V's of data, and some people mention veracity. So the accuracy of that data, is so much of it out there. How do you know that the stuff that's been built by telecommunications companies is the truth, or the data you're getting from all of your partners is absolutely correct and true? Because, as Shannon said, garbage in, garbage out. So here we go, the benefits and the cons of it. It has to have that massive, massive strategic importance. That's the main thing for it. On the negative side, it's going to cost a lot of money, and many people here will know that it's going to be high risk. Tesco no longer own Blinkbox or We7, so these things aren't to be taken lightly. Some other kind of examples now. It's not just retailers, brands are doing the same thing. So Adidas and Nike, they've got numerous apps on how to collect more information generally around the fitness of their customers, what they're doing, what sports motivate them. Under Armour, a little bit later to the game and a growing business themselves, didn't have time to do this, so they actually went out and bought MyFitnessPal and then integrated it into their systems. Ocado, we all know that they own lots and lots of their data, so they're able to then pull the data together to offer really super small, narrow delivery slots. And then imagine you're in the service sector, and a lot of this comes down to the most important data to you as a business you'd ideally want to own. If I'm a hotel, probably the most interesting thing to me is what my customers think of my hotel. But actually all of this is going to be sitting on TripAdvisor, completely out of my own reach. So finally, it all pretty much down to what this business strategy really, really is that you're trying to achieve. Why do you want to go out and get this data and the different ways of doing it? Of course, your current capabilities and, I guess, ultimately, the size of the checkbook. So that's it. I look forward to some of the questions as part of the panel, and I'll speak to you again soon. So thank you.